I have here Phillip MCCLURE. He's become a really good friend of mine, and we met at one of his networking events that he puts on. And I met a lot of spectacular people there and ended up connecting with Phillip and realizing what a spectacular guy he is. And so I just thought we would take a chance to look at that today, because this is my podcast, Failing into Success. And what we do is we look at how people become successful in their lives through the things they learn from their failures. And I find that everyone I talk to that I believe reached sort of a pinnacle of success in an area that cannot be denied, if you talk to that person, there is a moment of crisis or disaster or pain or struggle that they had to work through to get to this point. And so you've got a few of those stories, which are great, and we're going to get into those. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your company that you have, and tell us about kind of who you are.
Okay. So the primary company that I built is North Star Coins.
Yeah.
And what I've done with it is I started researching on why successful people are successful and why are some people not. And what are...
That's why we like each other.
Yes. And every book you read, every public speaker, every motivational speech, all of that stuff that you hear, they always say the same thing. You have to have that North Star. You have to know where you're going, or you'll end up someplace else, or you're going to end up where you don't want to be. You've heard them all over and over and over and over again. So I decided to build some tools, because if you're going to cut down a tree, you can do it by hand, or by it's going to take you years. But if you have an axe or a tool to get there, you're going to propel yourself so much faster to your goal attainment, whatever it is, like family, make a better family, doing better in business, better coaching, or just monetary success.
Yeah.
So I started building tools to where, we have a couple on the table here.
Yeah.
These beautiful gold and silver coins that you put in your pocket in the morning. That's that instant reminder, working with your neuroscience and making those neural connections on, I have to think about actually what I want to do today. And then if you can set it up with working with one of our life book journals, then you're writing things down, you're following through with certain items, you're going through like, what do I have to accomplish, and what did I come short on, all those type of things, and how to fix it. And then when you go to bed, then you empty out your pockets, you got your keys, and then this comes out of your pocket, and you're like, yes, I need to think about this before I go to bed, because the subconscious works all the time.
And I gotta say, these have a nice heft to them, which I know, because I carry around a silver dollar. I think I told you the story
You
of how I
have.
got that. And it's a reminder for me, and the heft of it is important, that it has this, it's cool looking. Anyway, it's a nice feel.
It's just heavy enough, and I've had women that say that they put it in their purse, and they're looking around for something, and every time they see it, when they're jingling around, or they can hear it jingling, then they're like, oh, that's that all of a sudden they get an audible reminder for what they're trying to do. So I attack all the senses on it. You have beautiful touch, you have weight, you can feel it, you can see it, you can hear it, because if you have another piece of change in your pocket, or it just jingles off your keys, that's a constant reminder of, oh, that's exactly what that is. So I kind of try to channel people's senses into building more neural connections, so they're thinking about whatever they're trying to do more often, because the more you think about it, the faster you're going to create a habit to get there, and the faster you're going to get to wherever you want to go. And it works. It worked for me.
Yeah.
And other people, it's worked for a lot of other people. My favorite part of the, building the business is the private emails that I get from people like, hey, I was stuck in traffic and I was super pissed off, and then I looked down and I saw the little ring in my pocket, and you could see the outline in my slacks or whatever, and he's like, oh, well, instead of being mad, I might as well use this hour that I have to sit here to think about how to get to where I'm trying to go. And I was like, man, things like that, those are the best.
That is cool.
But so that's the company, North Star Coins, and we have a couple other products we're coming out with online.
I use your journal, by the way, and I love it. I really
you.
do. I've used tons of different journals, different types, and I do like the ability to be able to combine kind of a calendar type thing with notes. but sometimes it leans one way too calendary and not enough notes or not enough note, like it just kind of does that. And yours is a good balance for me, man.
Thanks. Well, you have any suggestions for our volume 2? Because we're about sold out of volume 1.
I'll have to think about it.
We'll make some more adjustments.
I'll think about that. I haven't even thought about that, but I will.
Okay.
As I use it, I'll think about it.
Yeah. So that's North Star Coins. That's what me and my family have created, and I love to see people succeed.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to see this spectacular kind of lifestyle you can create by having a direction and going after it. But what I wonder is, as you did this, right, because you come from a very traditional background. You're a military guy. You did 3 tours, and 2 that were combative and 1 that was humanitarian.
So I did 2 combat tours, 1 humanitarian, and then 1 I was just in operations over.
Oh.
So I've done 4.
4.
But the 1 I just sat in a office the whole time running operations, like sending people and troops all over Europe and Asia, and well, not Europe, Southeast Asia, all over the place and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
but that's where
it's still an impact, right? And so then you have this kind of traditional focus, and you learn something there, and then you step into this entrepreneurial space. And I've seen a bunch of guys that come from that sort of training that do that, and then there's a bunch of guys that stay real corporate and work for somebody, right? And so it's always interesting to me, how do you break off when you're in that environment? Because the military structure is very defined, very clear, and then you move into a space that is wide fucking open. Business, the world of business, where you're on your own, wide open. And a lot of people are scared to do that. Was there fear that you had in doing that, or did you just, no problem, jump into it?
Hope I don't get in trouble from this, from all of you military people watching this. But the biggest issue is all the programming you get in the military of, you need to do your best, you need to chase rank, you need to retire as high as possible, you need to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I elected to turn down First Sergeant and Sergeant Major's Academy to go a different venture because I wanted to follow what I felt was right, my peers, almost all of my peers, thought I was crazy. Like, I had to sit down with the state command sergeant major, battalion, and the brigade on why I was not following the path that was laid out for me, and why I wanted to pretty much do career suicide. So the hard part was all the program.
You faced a wall of resistance.
It was really, really, really tough.
Yeah.
But lucky enough for me, I had a couple good people in my corner.
Yeah.
And when I came out of that briefing of, no, we need you to do this, even though you say you want to do this. So I came out of that and I was just discombobulated.
Yeah.
And a good friend, another military person, multiple business owner, came over to me. He's like, I don't know what was said, but I know what you're trying to do. And that extra few $100s a month in retirement isn't going to touch the real world for what you're trying to do and where you're trying to change your paradigm.
Yeah.
He's like, do I need to say anything else? I was like, nope. And I stood up, I walked back into the room.
Listened.
Yep. And I just said, okay, I'll take the transfer. And they said, okay, you'll never see a promotion for the rest of your life.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And but now the best part about it is, all of my peers and my friends now, they're like, man, I'm so proud of you for doing that. Yeah. Like, look at what you've done. Can you teach me? Can you absolutely. Right. And I just kind of pay it to everybody else. Like, this is what I did.
So how long from that moment when you walked out, you were told, right, you're not going to have another promotion for the rest of your career with us. You've limited yourself. Go and do what you think is the right thing, and the pressure's to say you're wrong. But how long did it take you from there to realize, like, get to the place where you realized, oh, I did it, versus I want to do it? You know what I mean? Or is that still ongoing?
No, it's still ongoing. It was slower than I thought, because when I took the transfer, I went to another career field that was very, very busy, and it took a lot of my time.
Yeah.
So I actually had to, in order to make my dream come true on why did I do career suicide, and I guess that career suicide to follow my dream, but I wasn't going anywhere with my dream, or I was, but it was just going slow.
Yeah.
So I asked my spouse to join me in the business venture, And she's like, oh, absolutely. And I get the paperwork, and she had named herself as the CEO of my company. And I was like, you can fire me now. She's like, no, I just gave myself a title. And I was like, all right, whatever. So got to make sure that goes smooth.
Yeah, right?
But that was the best thing ever. So now, instead of me and my wife working on separate ventures, we are working on the exact same thing. And
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
it works.
Yeah.
Because she can handle a lot of things that I just don't have the patience for.
Right.
Like, I can go out and network, and I can go work, and I'm good at working future,
Yep.
and she's good at working the grind.
Right. That's a nice combo.
Yeah, we the word just lost my mind, but
You have a nice synergy.
yes. And so
Symbiosis? I'm thinking of words.
I know. I'm going to go with, in business, we complement each other well.
Yeah.
Because our comfort zones and our skill sets are completely different.
Yeah.
So we're able to divide without having to delegate, like, I need you to do this.
Yeah.
It's just, I got this, cool, I got this.
That's cool.
So, and then we have the 2 little kids.
Yeah.
So, the things that she wants to do is all the online type of stuff, which she can do when she's with the kids,
Right.
while I'm out doing the
Networking
future
and-
stuff and
yeah.
then finishing my military career.
Well, it's sure fun to see her the other night when she
Yeah.
showed up. That was cool. I can see why you like her. She seems like a really engaged person. Can help. That's cool. So it took then how long do you think from that? So your wife started your company, so it took you a while, and I like that. I think that's because a lot of people, they think that grit and determination, the result is an immediate sort of exchange, right? But grit is this ability to hang on, even if you don't think that I'm working on something, but I'm still running toward a final goal. The road is like this. It's not so direct, right?
Yep. Everything is almost binary. It's
like
like, is this going
tacking.
to take me further away or
Yeah.
closer? Further
Yeah.
away or closer to the
Yeah.
goals?
Yeah.
But sorry, I lost my train of thought on that part.
Yeah. So when you're looking at just kind of your line of growth, right? And then the moments in that period, there had to be like moments where you again confronted people that made you doubt yourself, maybe doubt what you were doing. I'm guessing. This is what I'm guessing at.
The people closest to you,
Yeah,
which is the hardest
and
part.
so then, what did you do in those moments to say to yourself, you know what, I can move through this? What was the thing that you had learned enough about yourself to be able to walk through that?
Okay, we're going to go to vulnerable fail right
I
here.
love this. Yeah,
So
I'll follow you, man.
I knew I was right in following this because I took a little hiatus and I was right, and I started journaling without knowing what it really was.
Yeah.
And I had this idea, and it was so strong in my body that I started to weep a little bit.
Right.
And a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
and I felt so much energy, and like this was my calling, and this
Yeah.
was it. And it doesn't matter what anybody says, because if I felt that way, there is no way it's not true. There's no way. So because of the way that I felt when I drafted this entire business plan up on what I wanted to do, where I wanted it to go, who I wanted to impact, and what I want to do for everybody, it was so powerful that nobody could tell me that I was wrong. So it was easy when people were like, man, you're really trying to do this? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's going to work. And then I run into roadblocks like, well, how do you teach somebody that they need a product?
Yeah.
He's like, you're right, but how do you teach somebody they need a product that they don't know they need? That's something you're going to have to figure out. So that was a big marketing problem. And that was my first that's what slowed me down right out of the gate, was as soon as it made sense to me, it made sense to people that were already wealthy. But how do you teach somebody who hasn't made success that there are simple tools that you can use to accelerate to where you want to go?
Yeah.
And that is the most difficult part to this day, is selling somebody on something that they don't know they need, that they need.
Yeah. It is. If they don't know, they aren't going to see it, right? Yeah. And yeah, that's cool. So you had this just deep feel that it was, you knew you were doing the right thing. That's powerful belief.
And this
right?
is where I need to go.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. I think you got to be able to own that. That resonated with me in kind of in where I'm at, and what I do, and if you can't follow something that you believe in, then why follow anything?
Right.
Right.
You'll get comfortable, and then you'll just
Yeah.
let it go, and you'll go on to something
Yeah.
else that's shiny or that
Yeah.
kind of gets your attention.
And it has made me kind of change my perception actually of a lot of things, because I see people that believe in things that I don't, but they have good lives in the way that they want them to be, and so I have to respect that's the life you want. You're happy, you believe what you're chasing is the right thing, like I have people that I know that the way they live is not the way I want to live, and I look at their life and I think that's a horrible way to spend your hours. But they love the way they spend their hours.
Right. And you can't.
And why would I take that away from them? Right? And so I think that can be difficult at times for us to see in others, And I was interviewing a guy named Greg Reed. He's a keynote speaker, does amazing events, networking with, actually one of his events is called Secret Knock. It's in September, and it's like the event you got to get into for networking.
And I can get into this?
If I can get you in, I would.
Okay.
But yeah, it's insane. But I was talking to him because he just seems to know everybody. And he's kind of like you. He's a networker like you. He just knows everybody. And he said, don't look for opinions and advice from others. Seek counsel from people who have already done what you're trying to do.
Yep.
And what I see all the time is people shouting out, say on the internet, Facebook, whatever, I was thinking about this. I've done it. What do you think? And then people are like, blah, blah, blah. They say stuff, but these people haven't done anything. They're just saying whatever is in their gut, not what they know. And you talked to that guy when you came out of that room that had done business, and he was like...
It was one sentence.
Yeah.
Not even, it was just, boom.
Yeah.
Do you need anything else?
And you had the wisdom to look at that and be like, that's the thing I'll listen to. And that's where the wisdom comes. I wonder how it is that you knew to listen to him versus all the other voices.
Well, all the other voices that I listened to was everybody that I was around. Like, I have excelled everywhere I've gone in the military.
Yeah.
But there's a cap to it.
Yeah.
Like, you can be the best of your peers in the military, and that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
Not downplaying that at all.
Right.
Like, that is an amazing feat.
Yeah.
But when you go to the outside world, it's just a different game, and they don't line up at all. You're not going to have a Ferrari and be in the Army.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to have, like, money is what's needed for life experiences.
Right.
Like, you don't need a lot of money to have a lot of life experience. Like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to take your kids to go to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
You want to take your family around the world. You want to, be able to take work off to really immerse yourself somewhere. You
Yeah.
want to be a Little League coach and do all these different things. You cannot.
You need money.
Yeah, you have to have money to be able to free up that kind of time
Yeah.
to have these experiences, to create these memories.
Yeah.
And that was my goal. Is like, I need financial freedom in order to build experiences, to
Right.
give more life to everyone.
Yeah.
And so with knowing that, I knew where I was, and still kind of am,
Yeah.
with the military, I would not ever be able to reach those goals.
Yeah.
And was my other driving force to, sorry, I have to go this way. Like, love all you guys.
Right.
And we're all going to be friends together forever, but I have to do this because I'll never be satisfied. I'll
Right.
never, I don't want to lay there when I'm old
Yeah.
and think about, like, why did I just keep working 60 hours a week and, instead of following those dreams? And so...
I'm always impressed by what it is that drives people to that, because for many years I wanted to go out on my own in business and I didn't, because I was scared. I was scared of the failure of it and the risk and the, it's one thing to go get a job and get hired by somebody. It's another thing to start a company, put money into it, and possibly fail. Because getting a job with somebody, if they fire you, you just get another job. Right? And yet, people stay with companies all the time that they hate working for just to hold on to a job and keep a paycheck. And they have a miserable existence day after day.
And they'll try to leave, and then they come back, and they just want to. It's that homeostasis
Yeah.
that traps people so much.
Yeah.
Like, I remember you and I had this conversation the other day, and when you asked me, like, why are you accelerated so fast in reaching your goals? And it was simply, I create myself to be comfortable being comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like, hey, do you want to do this? Oh man, yeah, I'll do that. Like, holy shit, I'm super freaked out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to go speak in front of these people,
Yeah.
or I have to go, go to this meeting,
Yeah.
which is a meet and greet. It's like, hey, you're going to get thrown to the wolves. There's going to be, 20 or 30 entrepreneurs there, and everybody just wants to talk about business. And, right when the first time I walked into one of those, the person I went with, as soon as I got there, he had to step out and have a phone call, and I was just sitting in this room, and I was like, okay, well, I'm super uncomfortable right now because I am way out of my element.
Yeah.
So I just walked up to the first person I saw, and I just, he was a bald guy, and I was like, hey, I like your haircut, and then we just started laughing and
Yeah.
jiving, and then from then on it was the next person. But it was just taking that step, forward. It's like, I got to do something because I am uncomfortable, but if I don't do anything with it, I'm just going to walk out and then fail.
Yeah. Hey, moving through that discomfort to the other side takes a little energy.
Mm-hmm.
But when you expend it, it sure pays off.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, it pays off. And I think about it. I was actually thinking about it in terms of fitness the other day, is because I'm moving through a plateau right now, and I'm trying to break through another level, and it frustrates me to wait. It does, and it does physically, it does emotionally, it does financially. It's one of the things that I struggle with, is that patience to wait for it to happen, because it does if you just keep persisting.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep having to remind myself, and I think people give up too soon, right? I just have to remind myself to not give up. I mean, I put myself in places where I can't give up, but I think that a lot of people give up too soon.
Yeah, and you're never, like, if you give up, you're never going to gain anything.
Yeah.
You'll just be right back to where you were.
Yeah.
I totally follow you on the whole fitness thing. It's like, man, doing the same thing over and over and over, change things up a little bit more, over and over and over. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I made it. Like, it just happened right there.
I think that's why I like fitness so much too. For me, I think everyone has a space, but for me, it's a very easy thing for me to do, that I can measure very clearly my gains and losses based on my input, on what I'm doing, and I can be more efficient with my input to get gains and losses too. And then I can take that mentality and apply it to a business, because it's like when things start to feel like they fall apart for me, I look in the spaces where I'm succeeding, and then I take that framework and I apply it to where it's falling apart, and I can see how to fix it. You know
I like
what I mean?
that. That's good.
Yeah. And I think that's what you do from your military. I honestly believe that. So you take this training that you had, which was deeply rigid, and and you rise to the top of your space within your peers, because you were a fucking monster on the field, right? So you're this guy, you've done this, but you don't get that way without working through those plateaus and doing the day in, day out grind to get to that. And now you have that foundational thing that when you move into another space, you're one of the few people that can see that. I apply that to this. That's what I think you do.
Yeah, they force feed you learning grit. Mm-hmm. So that's been a lot of my saving grace. It's just, okay, so we're not going to sleep tonight. We're just going to keep working on stuff.
Yeah.
And and then going to the civilian world, it's, all right, I know I can run for 2 weeks on almost no sleep before my brain is totally retarded and I got to take a couple of days off. But the grit of all of it is just force fed, like fire hose in your face.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to deal with stress and you have to learn to make decisions.
Yeah.
And if you can put those two things together, you know, like I think so many more businesses should be out there from veterans.
Yeah.
I know it's you're starting to see that a little bit more,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But you talk to other people that are in the military started companies, and like, yeah, this is
Way less stressful.
Yeah, this is easy.
Nobody's going to die.
Yeah, and we're not just that. It's I don't have all these different people yelling at me. I'm not
Yeah.
having to do things exactly how I'm told. I'm having more freedoms to make it work.
Right.
And I'm used to working in crazy environment, like
Yeah.
in austere environments, and
Yeah.
your fortitude is just higher
Yeah.
than your counterpart. All right, not always, but your fortitude would be higher than
on
your
average. On average, a guy that comes out of that kind of training, he is far more comfortable with a level of stress than the regular guy on the street.
Yeah,
no question.
So, and I think that's, I wish you'd see a little bit more out of the
Yeah.
military people doing this.
Yeah.
Because we are already trained to be successful, to win.
Yeah.
And so.
And there's a mindset of those type of people, like, because not everybody in the military that comes out is worth that either, right? But it trains certain people to be that way, and those that are really good, they really get trained to do it well. Like sports, the guys that get to the highest levels, they learn to manage. Now they're not dealing with death, like there's a whole different kind of mentality, but there's a certain sort of, you know what I mean, like, or whatever sort of venture you in, when you rise to the top, there's certain ways that you learn to manage stress, you learn to look at the world, you learn how to make choices under pressure, that you gain from becoming really good in a space of existence. Whatever that talent is that you're chasing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how have you been able to apply, like, what is one specific lesson that you think that you learned that was a challenge that you had to overcome that makes you who you are right here today? Like, that you think is a cornerstone of your success?
Okay. My last deployment that I was on, I had some very cancerous people in my company, and caused a lot of problems all the way everywhere.
Yeah.
And people would ask me, like, other soldiers and stuff, they're like, how are you still, like, are you ever sleeping? You're running so much of this show. How are you dealing with working with these people? This is disgusting. Like, with that, like, how do you work with that? Those type of things. And that was just, I'm just gonna hold on because somebody's got to make it work.
Right.
So I just held on and held on and held on, and I made it work all the way through, and it was good. Everything worked out. Everybody came home. Everything was great.
Right.
And what happened to people when we came home happened to people. Whatever.
Right.
And that was also when I started studying financial intelligence. So, in the morning I'd go to the gym, then I'd go do my job all day, and then I'd study at night. And learning what I was learning when I was studying, and then dealing with shitty people, really shitty people for the first time, and studying like goal attainment.
Yeah.
I was able to. It was perfect timing because I was able to continue to follow the goals, success, all those type of things, which went right over into my career, and that's what I was able to hold it all together. Then when I came home, cut that tie, and it was with some of the military stuff, and it was just all that stuff that I'd learned, I just absorbed it so much more.
Right.
And then because of that, I was able to make decisions, get things going, start the business, not just like, oh, I have these great ideas. I have these great ideas, because we all have great ideas. We've had them for decades.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, I was set up to where I was actioning all these ideas.
Right.
And not just always me.
Not just thinking about it, but doing something about it.
Mm-hmm. And the best thing that I did was I changed my people I hang out with. And I started hanging out with entrepreneurs, business owners, things like that. And that was the other big catapult. Not only did I change the way that I was thinking about things, but I also changed my social networking circle. Yep.
Yeah, there is so much to unpack in that story you just told me. So much. That's a lot. That's a great story.
But yeah, those combined.
Yeah, I love the juxtaposition, though, of you facing this horrible environment at work and reading and learning about something that kept you directed in a place of hope and excitement, and then you say that when you cut your ties with that dead weight, when you got rid of that part of work that was dragging you down, you started to light up.
Yep.
Because I tell my clients that all the time. I'm like, if you've got people or things in your life that are dragging you, you have to sever them.
Right, because you have so much energy.
Yeah.
And if you waste your energy on shitty people or on a stupid job or on anything like that, you don't have enough energy at the end of the day for yourself to go forward. Like, you have to make sure you have enough for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have noticed that very, very clearly in my life, that when I have allowed people or things into it that are detrimental to me, I have no energy to accomplish what I really want to do.
Yeah, they suck it out of you.
You get into survival mode. You're just trying to get through, right? I got to get through this mission. I got to finish this task. I got to, whatever it is. That's all it is about. You're not that forward-thinking thing. It's gone, right?
Yep.
But that takes energy too, though, because I think I see people that get so beat down by the life that they're living, they don't even have the energy to be reading financial goals or something in the evening, right? They're not even exercising. They just are just
Netflix and unplug. Just want to.
I see these guys and I'm just like, oh man, like you see the light in their eyes and it's gone. You know what I mean?
And then, then when those people now and they want to, old friends or whatever, like I'm sure you run into this too, like, hey, let's go hang out and stuff. It's like, no, let's not, because I know exactly where you're gonna want to go, and it's gonna be all negative stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have time to give that energy to something that's not gonna have a positive output anymore.
Yeah. You know what, man? It's been great talking to you. Is there any last piece of kind of advice or something that you could give to people that are, say, on the cusp of or thinking about breaking into this idea of chasing down a passion or a dream that they feel they are, wanting to do, and yet haven't done it yet? They haven't stepped into that space. What would you tell somebody like that?
To jump?
Yeah.
Like, you're on a precipice. And when you're there, like you can kind of think about it and get a little bit closer and have your own ideas and what you want to do. And you just need to go for it. You can't be doing the whole, I need to learn a little bit more about this. I need to learn a little bit more about this, because then you're going to become a habitual learner and you're never actually going to do anything about it because you want it to be perfect.
Right.
Like this, we just talked about this a little bit ago. This journal, this isn't perfect. Like, we're getting ready to come volume 2 as soon as possible. You have to get your 1.0. iPhones. They didn't come out with their newest phone first. They started somewhere. They came out with it. They got going.
That's right.
And then you
Evolves.
and you improve, and then you improve, and then you improve. And if you do not take that step to get your 1.0, I guess would be the book name. 1.0.
Yeah.
Start at 1.0 or whatever. But if you can start at 1.0, you're building your momentum,
right? And
you're not really going to know what's wrong or what works until you're taking action, until you get feedback, and then you have to understand how to do criticism and feedback and all those type of things. But you just have to jump. You have something you want to do, you have to go forward with it, and if you go forward with it, you'll be able to get further with it next, because it's just that first step.
Well, thank you again for coming on my show. This has been Phil MCCLURE. And you can find, what's the website that they can go to find you?
NorthstarCoins.com.
Yeah.
And if you guys heard some of that background noise, like, we are actually in the Automotive Addiction Museum. It's a car museum that I'm the director of operations for. A couple of my friends and put it together, and we're in here
a cool place.
all the time. And so check it out. Like, got cool stuff.
Yeah.
And
this is your car.
Yes, this is my North Star right here. Like, every time I drive it, it reminds me of why, it makes me smile every time. And I'm like, I did this. Like, and this is, people ask me all the time, like, hey, how did you do that? I'm like, I followed my goals.
Yeah.
And you can do it too.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Powerful, man. I love it, and I really appreciate you coming. And we will cut out with that.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you.